going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful holiday wherever you are. Merry Christmas, Merry whatever it is that you celebrate. Pleasure to see you guys. And, not really too much crazy stuff to talk about today. As you guys know, I do have my red hat on kind of for the holidays because I can't really wear bright green. I will blend into the background and I'll be a floating head. But that being said, guys, I do want to talk about what's going on with Bitcoin because it is just incredibly boring right now. And as we head into the, weekend, plus we have the holidays, probably not a lot going to happen for Bitcoin. But I did want to mention that there was one thing for Bitcoin that we have never actually seen Bitcoin do before in its history. And also, if we have a look at the amount of time from the Bitcoin top to where we're sitting right now, it actually historically shows us something very, very interesting. So is it going to be different this time because of everything happening with the Fed? Or could we actually have a very positive 2023 despite all the doom and gloom? Also wanted to touch a little bit on the SBF situation. We do have Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang both coming out and testifying and basically admitting that they were guilty, spilling the beans. So we're going to talk about that. And I also want to talk about the fact that Bitcoin miners have been in a little bit of trouble. But look, guys, I know that it can seem very negative and very depressing when you consider everything that's happened in the crypto space. But stick around to the end, and I promise you this isn't just my Bitcoin McDonald's colored hat. I do have some perspective for you guys. I love you. Thank you again. Let's dive in. Let's have a look. So obviously, again, Bitcoin is still just sitting at the same level that we've been sitting at. So I'm not going to change too much on this analysis. I did want to just talk about the fact, though, that, speaking of things that we've never actually seen before, this would be the first time that we've ever had a Bitcoin candle close lower than the previous candle. I mean, you could see literally, if we just draw lines, at every single candle here, you can clearly see, even on these red ones, right, that we've never closed below, meaning that, this candle right here would have closed below right here. We've never actually seen that, right? But currently right now, we are seeing that, right? Because look, here was this candle open and we are sitting below it. So this would be the first time that this has ever happened for Bitcoin. But obviously this is also the first time we've ever seen Bitcoin in a macro bearish environment. But interestingly enough, we still do have the pattern, 3 up, 1 down, 3 up, 1 down. So will the pattern break for the first time ever? That's kind of like what everyone's saying, right? On the short term, if you guys are looking to trade, I don't really know how much action we're going to be getting in the next week, depending, but you can see that we have been holding on the center of this area. So there still is that possibility of a first target to about 17.3. And the next target, 17.3, 17.5, but then we could attempt to retest again at around $18,160. And it's pretty much just been range bound, bouncing between these levels. For the most part, you obviously have this main area right here, right? Ultimately, which is where, so what do we have? We have, occasionally we have a little bit of fake out to the top, a little bit of fake out to the bottom. But for the most part, we are just ranging in this area. And on top of that, you can see that we are putting in higher lows and higher highs. So you could say that, on the short term, technically, we are starting to trend upwards. I know on the macro, we're trending downwards, but I still do think we should have at least a minimum push back to around that $17,600 level, before anything else, because you could see how close we're getting to the end of this downwards sloping trend. And we are, in fact, coming into the end of a wedge pattern, which will be fulfilled within the next 3 weeks. So we're going to see some kind of move within the next 3 weeks. And the only thing that I don't understand really so far is I get that the situations have been very bad, obviously with FTX and Celsius and Voyager and all these things exploding. But you could see even, in the past, you do have these downward sloping trends and you do at least minimally have a fake out before coming below. Now, I understand that this was COVID, right? But even if you just completely scribble out COVID, you were still putting in that base. So you did have that fake out before the rally. And I mean, you could see right here, and look, even little wicks right here and stuff like that. And, if we zoom in, obviously on the linear, we've already talked about the fact that we've, gone above it. But I mean, we have not even attempted to come anywhere back up to this line ever since these two touches. And just as an example, if we go back to the S&P, look at the S&P. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? There were actually 2 touches here, 1, 2. So the S&P has had these rallies. We've seen these rallies in stocks, and we have not seen these rallies for Bitcoin. So I just think that logically, even if you just think about it, if everyone is bearish, you would think that there would have to at least be maybe like this 45% rally back to around that $25,000 level, right? Which would also, which would also coincide kind of like right here, right? With the original Terra Luna wick, right? The original wick that we had on Terra Luna right here. And then we also had this right here. I just think that it would be enough to get people excited and then to go lower. We could go lower first. It just seems like it has been a lot of just nothing but downwards price action. And I just think that, it's getting extremely bearish. But nevertheless, guys, getting back to those simple levels, break above the 16,866, next target 17.2, target after that 17.5. If we do have a breakdown, then honestly, I do think that you could long at 16,261 because that coincides with this area right here. I don't think we would just fall straight through unless there was some kind of a black swan event. But obviously, if you guys want to trade, get subscribed, check out my tutorial. It's, I think, the best tutorial on the internet. It's absolutely free. Just click on it, check it out. If you guys want those bonuses, you guys know you can also go to BitGet, enter the code NYNL, and then that gives you the extra 18,000, with the deposit. So, and the trading volume too. Check that out. So, I really like what Wrecked Capital has been tweeting lately. So I did retweet this tweet right here, but he since has posted 2 more. So historically, Bitcoin tends to bottom about 517 to 547 days prior to the next halving event. The next halving event is approximately 500 days away. In 2015, Bitcoin bottomed 547 days before the halving. In 2018, Bitcoin bottomed 517 days before the halving. Now we have approximately 500 days before the halving. So Bitcoin is exactly in the area where we historically hit that bottom. Now understand that that does not mean V-shaped recovery. It could mean sideways for 3 to 6 months. In other words, like 3 months from now, Bitcoin could go back to 15.5, only to bounce back up to 20. You understand what I'm saying? But ultimately, the major lows should historically be in. It's been 400 days since the Bitcoin bull market peaked at 69,000, which means that this bear market is getting closer to the ending. Historically, bear markets find their absolute bottom price approximately 365 days after the previous bull. And you can see right now, we're obviously sitting at 400 days. So a little bit of hopium for you guys. I know a lot of people think that it's just totally different this time. But historically speaking, this where we're at right now should technically be around the bottom. So kind of like moving forward, we'll see, right? But as of right now, no one can really say that this wasn't where we were supposed to be according to the 4-year cycle. So it looks like we have SBF. He's flying business class, I guess, or first class. I think this is business class though, from, in American Airlines. And then you can see him over here in the business lounge, right? Some guy asked him for a picture and he said, maybe not today. So it looks like Sam finally had a chance to shave. But what did happen was Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research and ex-girlfriend now, I guess, to SBF, did in fact tell a federal court in New York that she knowingly misled lenders about how much the firm had been borrowing from the collapsed FTX crypto exchange, and she knew that her actions were wrong. Okay, so we have a confession here. From 2019 through 2022, I was aware that Alameda was providing access to a borrowing facility on FTX.com, the cryptocurrency exchange run by Mr. Bankman-Fried. In practical terms, this arrangement permitted Alameda access to an unlimited line of credit without being required to post collateral, without having negative balances, and without being subjected to margin calls on FTX.com's liquidation protocols. Wouldn't that just be awesome, guys, if you could just trade on leverage and never get liquidated? That would be awesome. And yet somehow they still squandered and lost all this money. Ellison said that she and former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried had agreed to hide the arrangement by creating false financial statements, and that she knew that Alameda accounts with negative balances signified the firm was borrowing funds from FTX customers. Now, Ellison and FTX co-founder and former CTO Gary Wang both have pled guilty to multiple charges earlier this week related to the collapse of Alameda and FTX. Wang, at his plea hearing, said that he had been directed to make changes in the code that he knew would give Alameda special privileges. Quote, "I knew what I was doing was wrong." So, going back over here, Wall Street was saying, meanwhile, Julian Assange still sits in jail for being a real journalist. You also have that poor developer who did Tornado Cash, who was just trying to help people with their privacy. He's in jail. And, this guy's flying around business first class. He gets to have the holidays with the family. $250 million bail, no problem. No problem at all, right? And then you have this situation, the ongoing legal proceedings around the, FTX have now taken a turn as District Judge Ronnie Abrams withdrew her participation from the case. The United States District Court for Southern District of New York recused itself from the FTX case after revealing that a law firm, which employs Abrams' husband as a partner, had advised FTX crypto exchange in 2021. How many people were involved in this damn thing? Abrams also stated that the law firm represented parties that may be adverse to FTX and SBF in other legal proceedings. My husband has had no involvement in any of their representations. Nonetheless, I would like to avoid any possible conflict or appearance of one. The court hereby recuses itself of this action. You can see right here. So, I don't know, or maybe she just doesn't want to be the one to put him away, make the decision, but it is, I guess, conflict of interest, right? So, there's that situation. And then to make matters worse, I know lots of negative news on Christmas. How could I do this? Well, it's not all doom and gloom, guys, trust me. But unfortunately, it does look like the Bitcoin miners are in a bit of a pickle here. Now, it looks like they've borrowed way more money. Okay, they thought the price was going to keep going up. The price didn't keep going up, and now they have to sell for losses. But again, this does not represent Bitcoin mining. It does not represent the cost, the environment, none of that. What a lot of these guys, the reason that they're $4 billion in debt mostly is because, they would take on these loans to buy the mining equipment. So they didn't own the mining equipment outright. They would have it on loan, right? And then the price dropped. Now they got to pay back these loans. So, for example, Core Scientific at $1.3 billion in liabilities has recently filed for bankruptcy. You have a lot of these other guys in here too. Marathon, $851 million in debt. Greenridge, 218. Other public miners as well. TeraWulf, Northern Data, Argo. They're about $100 million as well. But again, guys, this is all just part of flushing out the system. And, honestly, with Bitcoin miners going bankrupt, even if they had to turn their mining units off, technically the hash rate would come down, but the difficulty adjustment would always adjust. And that is the beauty of the Bitcoin blockchain, is it's already prepared for these types of things, right? It is unfortunate, however, to see this. And this is the problem that we had in the space all year. We had over leveraging. We had loans that people were just assuming the price was going to go to the moon. And there really wasn't that accountability, right? Which is why we saw this happen. And unfortunately, it does affect the little guys, people like you and me that are, just kind of sitting here watching our portfolios get slashed in half every other day because of this negligence. But at the same time, guys, that is how the world spins. That is how the cookie crumbles. But I do just want to take a stroll down memory lane and just imagine what it would have been like back here in 2018 when Bitcoin had gone all the way up to $31, only to crash all the way back down to $1.87. That is a almost 94% fall. Now imagine how discouraged people were when they thought that this was the end. And then, some time passed, and then all of a sudden, Bitcoin went up to 270, right? And then, of course, it crashed down to 51. And look at this little blip. So this was the crash down here, and this is where we are at this point. Oh, but here's the even bigger one, and there's obviously some drawings on here still. But you can see, we came all the way up here to around 1,000, and then crashed all the way down to $150, which is even lower than this peak right here, right? We came and crashed all the way down, and, people thought that was the end. And then Bitcoin came all the way up here. I just get rid of all these drawings. I don't know why I got these drawings on here. And then you had, the high of 20,000, right? The 2017. And then Bitcoin had the 84% crash all the way down to 3,000. People thought it was over, a little bit of the fake out here, and then boom, Bitcoin went all the way up to 60,000. And you can see that all of these previous here, you can barely even see them. And this is why we have to switch to the log, because the logarithmic allows you to see the percentage changes. But when you come down like this, it's a joke, right? So I just think when you look at this in hindsight and realize, eventually all of these bubbles get completely overshadowed by these even bigger bubbles. And Bitcoin itself, they say it's in a bubble, but really the bubble has never officially popped. We are following a trend to the upside. And sure, we are going through a little bit more difficult time for Bitcoin. It is possible that we could retest some of these levels, of course. But at the end of the day, if you believe in Bitcoin, it should be an absolute no-brainer. And as long as you have that horizon for a year to maybe 2 years, anyone buying today is going to be good. Just like everyone back in here thought it was over. Yeah, and guess what? Every single time Bitcoin easily 3 to 5 to 10x its price, right? So even if you bought at the all-time high, historically, buying at the all-time high, you would minimally do a 3x. So even if you bought at 70,000, let's say, historically speaking, if you hold to the next peak, you should at least have a 3x, because every single time that's pretty much what Bitcoin has done, right? And we don't still have that big sovereign wealth fund money and all that in. So thanks again for coming back to the channel. Thanks for sticking around and watching me in my goofy McDonald's red Bitcoin hat. You guys are amazing. I hope you have a phenomenal holiday. I don't know if I'm going to make a video tomorrow on Christmas Day. Maybe I'll make one, depending. I don't know what news might come out, but if I don't, have a wonderful, beautiful holiday. You guys are awesome. I do believe that it could be a little bit shaky next year, but I am feeling optimistic, at least minimally, about having the greatest opportunity for dollar cost averaging. And I do think that we will see Bitcoin match the previous all-time high by 2024. And I think we will have a brand new all-time high by 2025. So if you can stick it out, if you've made it through 2022 so far, you made it through this year, I cannot imagine it being much worse. And if you are still around, you are a trooper, you obviously believe in the space, or I don't know, or you just like pain and suffering without cause and purpose. But anyway, I love you guys. You're awesome. You're the reason that I make these videos. Have a great, wonderful day. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm posting over there occasionally things that you won't find on YouTube. That's it for me. Make sure you get your crypto safe. Make sure that you put them in a ledger. Check the tutorial out. And also, if you want to learn how to trade, get those bonuses, because they're not going to be lasting for much longer. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.